So as I'm talking to Thais right here, we'll take advantage to record a little bit of our conversation, just a little bit of it. So as you're going through this process, you explain to people what is an American Pitbull Terrier. So people will come in, some of them with some input in their heads, what they saw the neighbors have and blah, 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 was in the streets. Remember the year 2023, and maybe somebody will look at this video in 2030, 2050, whatever the case might be. The important thing is when we're writing about this, people must understand that what is a real American Pitbull Terrier, we must define that there is two types of dogs that are called American Pitbull Terriers. There is one that is a real American Pitbull Terrier that went through the process of development from being a half and a half dog, what is called a pit dog, being an American Pitbull Terrier. There were game dogs, there were nanny dogs, there were non-man biters, and they were super athletic, and not everybody was able to breed them. Not every dog was able to create puppies. Not every female, not every male, because there was a framework of creation. And that framework of creation was done by experts, which are the grandfathers of the breed, the real dogmen, okay? The real breeders that created these dogs. And these dogs, they might share genetic material, could be this 100% the same genetic material, for example, the same dogs that were collected by the AKC in the early 1900s, which are the American Staffordshire Terriers. But the difference between a pure American Pitbull Terrier by a Great Dogman to a Great Dogman developed through that process of creation of the real American Pitbull Terrier and an American Staffordshire Terrier is that they both come from the same area, original as an American Pitbull Terrier. So don't get it wrong. It's not that the American Staffordshire Terrier created the American Pitbull Terrier. The American Pitbull Terrier is the real dog, and the Staffordshire Terriers are like a spurt out of it. And so that spurt that came out of it might share the same DNA in 2023. The biggest difference is that when you look at the both dogs, they behave different. They're absolutely different in shape and in body type and the whole thing. And that is because they invented something called conformation, which is best people can do a process of selecting which dogs they will breed. While in the real American Pitbull Terrier, those dogs were actually selected by men that will select only the best dogs, and they had a rejection process where some males and some females were not the desirable dogs to be bred. You follow me, right? And so that real breed extends till today. But the other dog they call American Pitbull Terrier started somewhere when the dogs became available to pet people. And the pet people was able to breed them. A neighbor that's breeding his dogs with another neighbor from a different neighborhood or whatever, and call himself a breeder, and then all of a sudden it's good business. He opened a little website and called himself a kennel, and then goes to the forums, and after 20 years he called himself a dogman. That person is not a real dogman. If that person has dogs having sex, they sell them for profit. He might have them registered, whatever he might have them, he's not a real dogman. The real dogman is someone that worked very hard to improve the breed and has literally merits to show. So the breed has elements, men that were specifically successful in developing great dogs. And those men there became flagship men in the breed. I can give you names like Crenshaw, Carver, Chavez, Fletcher Chavez, Hollingsworth, Akard, Chico Lopez. All these people create these dogs, and they invested 30, 40, 50 years working with the dogs, and that was their passion to make the dogs better, and they worked very hard for that. That's the difference between a guy selling dogs around the corner. You know, it's absolutely so. What is a real American Pitbull Terrier? It would be very important to have that included. So when people come in and they look at this, they understand that, because they might get confused and see a show dog and say, this is a show champion, he got so many points, he's the best dog. I said, well, but the conformation of this dog's conformation, okay, conformation says he's a dog that's going to look like the real deal. He's not the real deal. Who bred the dog? Oh, this guy, that guy, kennel breeder. We want to have a branded dogman. A branded dogman is the last man standing to create the dying breed, which is the dog that's about to extinct, American Pitbull Terrier. And so going back to what we're discussing right now, that is the portion that I want to record, which is about defining what is an American Pitbull Terrier. Are we in tune with this? Okay. I want to make sure that we are. I'm going to cut the video for you guys. We're having a conversation that goes a little further than this, but I just want to give you that kind of information so you can understand about the real American Pitbull Terrier. There's only one. That's all. Everything else, with the good intentions that people have, people have one big confusion, which is bloodlines. They do believe that if you have a bloodline and you supposedly mix that bloodline, 20 guys mix this bloodline with this, they make it tighter, blah, 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 all this, you still have the same dogs at the beginning. No, you don't. The only person that can make those breedings is a successful man that can create great American Pitbull Terriers that are the real dog because they have merits, because they have quality. The man is blessed with experience and an unmatchable eye to pick only the best. Neighborhood breeders, backyard breeders, the best intentions. They love the breed. They know how to do the maintenance. They care for them. They do a little bit of training this, a little training that, and they're good people. Okay, but they are not. We're living the times what they were living in the 1200s, where everyone thought it was the earth was flat. So if you ask 10 people, 1,000 people, 100,000, 2 million, 3 million at that time, if earth is round, they say, no, it's flat. They'll fight for that. Galileo Galilei got burned because he said that, the earth was round. He invented the telescope, but he was able to see that we were round. But that was a complete misidea that got solved through technology, through science, to learn that the world is actually round, from roundish shape rather than flat. When it came to the American Pitbull Terrier, the American Pitbull Terrier already exists, it was already developed. But they demonized the past of it, saying that because the dogs were comeback dogs, they were actually very bad dogs. And the people that titled this and did this were desk people. They didn't know. And the people that actually bred the dogs, they stood quiet. They didn't say nothing. And some of them just left the breed. They got afraid, they got concerned, and they left the breed. And so they took the name of the great dog and they put it on the dogs. It became commercially available, and they were better for the cheap breeders. The guys that were not leaders of the breed, they took the name Blue Pitbull, Blue Nose. That dog, those dogs do not have a real American Pitbull Terrier creator, dogman in history. There has never been a top-of-the-line man. The 1970 going backwards, and you say this man created 200 amazing blue dogs that were respected by everyone in history, just does not exist. So this here is an eye-opening, and we're doing this service to people so they can know the truth. I believe that anyone born in 1995 going forward missed not knowing just the real Pitbull, but knowing a second handover chance, which it was what we used to call back in the Bronx back then, back in the 1990s, the street level dog. And it was a dog that has sparkles of the real American Pitbull Terrier. And people loved those dogs, but they knew they were not real. They knew they didn't have papers, they didn't have bloodlines, there was no real men behind them. They were bred in the neighborhoods. But those dogs have sparkles of the real dog. And those dogs disappear. They vanish. And the reason why they vanished was because the society started to breed those dogs that came out of nowhere, blue dogs, and they started inventing this about recessive, this, blah, blah, blah. Those dogs, American Pitbull Terrier's color of the American Pitbull Terrier is the color of the best dog in the world. Somebody asked me, Chico, what will happen if somebody has a whole bunch of dogs that are way better than every dog you ever had in every way possible? I'll say, that man will be the baddest dogman I ever heard in my life. I will get rid of all my dogs, and I want to breed what he has if he allows me to. And those are the dogs I want to have. Only the best. And the color of the dog and the image of the dog is the image that comes from that branded man. Just like when you buy a Rolls Royce, you buy the brand, and the brand has models, and you trust the quality and the engineering decisions made by this particular brand and group of engineers. Well, very scientific, very whatever. When it comes to a real classy dogman, top of the line, branded men, undisputed the best. That man has those qualities and that pedigree of creation. And that gives him the ability to create furthermore great dogs than anybody else. And that's why you trust the man, because the man became the brand. When you take the man away and the brand away as a necessity to breed more dogs, and you replace it with the bloodline is a gateway for anyone that has a dog with a pedigree to become a breeder, raise their 10,000 million puppies, all mutts, and that been the shelters, and that been the streets, and that homeless, and he draw the price of dogs, rejected and everything, $50 dogs, and all the shelters just loving them. Some of them reject them, some of them will put them to sleep, and those are the dogs that bite people. Those are the dogs that kill children. And few dogs from some people that call themselves dogmans, like they bred dogs like Chinaman. Chinaman is a dog to be rejected. Black dog, biter of people, you can't breed something like this and expect to have, maybe through years of working hard to shape this. When I started my dogs, I wanted to make sure that I had the best dogs of the 1970s, 1980s, 90s going forward, 33 years, super tight, close laboratory, the planet Earth as a laboratory to work and develop better dogs. Like the Bagman, like Siga the Grey, like Mechanic Buck, those super dogs. That's what we're looking for, and those are the dogs that good people, great people deserve to have as pets. They're not people aggressive, they're lovers, they're dogs of velvet and dogs that are steel. I hope this video can land in the hands of someone that's respectable and can take it and share it with the children, put it in a forum and educate other people so they can learn. My name is Chico Lopez. You can always find me at therealpitbull.com, or you can find me at chicolopez.com. God bless you. Take care. 806-500-5552. Bye-bye.